Should I buy real estate income properties in a high appreciation area or a high cash flow area? All right, guys, let's back up here. High appreciation is basically saying the value of the property goes up over time. Cash flow means monthly, I'm making good cash flow. First thing I want to talk about is the different ways you make money through buying rental real estate. So the first way is appreciation. Okay, the second way is cash flow. The third way is called amortization paydown. It basically means every single month that you make your payment, a portion of that payment is paying down the principal balance, and that is being paid by the tenant, not you. Okay. Next thing we're going to talk about is tax benefits. So there's some tax benefits from some business write-offs to potentially some write-offs with the real estate to other things that may be happening depending upon your specific situation. The other one that we talk about is rent increase. Okay, rents go up over time. So rents are going up over time. Tax benefits, paying the loan amount down, cash flow, and appreciation, taking it back up. Those are the ways that we make money in real estate investing for rental real estate. High cash flow. This is typically what I see with high cash flow type deals. What I see with high cash flow is people are buying based upon cash flow, not based upon property value. Okay, so they're looking at it and saying, well, if I can spend, I don't know, $75,000 to buy this property and it brings in $1,000 a month, then I'm in really, really good shape. Okay, well, guess what? The property may not be worth $75,000. It may only be worth $35,000. So if you're buying it just upon cash flow, you may not be looking at value as to what it's really worth or putting a lot of money down to buy the cash flow. What I typically find in these situations is these are in difficult areas to manage. So what happens is there's a tenant in here, they may have a really high payment, but then they default and then they destroy the house, and then you've got a $30,000 bill to clean up the house. And you're saying, what am I doing here? So what I find is people that are trying to maximize rent are typically going to get the poorer, worse tenants, poor not just in money, but just the way they take care of the place. So the way that I look at this is people that want a good deal are typically people that take care of things. I mean, everybody wants a great deal, right? But people that take care of things. So what I like to do is I like to rent for 10% less, $50 to $100, I should say, than what the market is. So if the market in this area, this specific area, is $850 for rent, and these guys are charged $1,000, that's a problem. I want to be somewhere between $750 and $800. What that does is I get a ton of people that apply as tenants. I get really good tenants and I also get really bad tenants, but I have so many to choose from. I can hold out to find the right tenant, and then that tenant knows they're getting a good deal. I'm giving them a good deal, and they think, okay, that's awesome. And I keep giving them a good deal as long as they stay on that property. I always am the least expensive, because the most expensive thing for me to do is the tenant turnover. If somebody turns over, I've got to go in and paint the property or carpet clean or do whatever. I've got to go do that. That's called rent ready. Rent ready is expensive. And the more times I do that, the more I'm losing, because I'm also losing rent. Because if somebody moves out and I have to do things to get rent ready, I'm losing rent for those months. Plus I'm losing rent for the months while I'm trying to find somebody. So turnover is the real killer. So if I can limit my turnover drastically and keep someone in there longer, the discount that I gave for $50 to $100, I actually am money ahead without having the turnover costs, the rent ready costs, and the lack of rent. So that's the way that I do this. So anytime somebody says, hey, should I optimize for cash flow? I think you've got to pause and reflect for a minute. Because I think the strategy of I want to get as much cash flow as possible is a good concept, but the reality of how do I get as much as possible typically implies I'm charging above market rates. Anybody that's willing to pay above market rates is typically someone that is not a great tenant, that is not going to take care of it. And I'll tell you, I've had tenants say, I'll pay you 3 months in cash, I'll pay you this, I'll do this, I'll pay more than what's asking. And it kind of is appetizing. You're like, oh my goodness, we're renting it for $1,000, they'll pay me $1,200. What could possibly go wrong? Well, I can tell you, having done this multiple times, you could get a $50,000 bill for fixing the property with a family that moves in there that ends up doing meth in the baby's room, and you end up having to decontaminate the entire house, and you did all that for an extra $200 a month. You've got to realize that a lot of these tenants will appeal to greed and say, here's some cash, here's this, and then never make another payment again. So that is optimizing for cash flow. I think you should be doing other things to optimize for cash flow by looking at it in the long-term perspective of how long can I keep this tenant? The longer you can keep the tenant in there, the better your cash flow is going to be. And I'm not suggesting you're drastically under market rents. I'm saying you're a little bit under market rents to attract that great person and to keep that great tenant in there for a long duration, because the tenant turnover is more expensive than anything else in most cases. Unless you have to go and do a big rehab because they mess it up, or you have to evict them and go through that process. Okay, then the other thing that is asked in this question is, okay, so what about high appreciation areas? What if I go into areas and invest and I don't make any money on this house, but I'm planning on it going up drastically and be worth a lot more money in a short period of time? And I say, if you're looking to do something like this, I look at it as strictly speculation, because you don't know what time frame. We know values are going to go up. We've seen that consistently decade over decade over decade, but we don't know when they're going up or when they're going down, or if it's going to be a few bad years or whatever the case is. We just simply don't know what that time period is or what that looks like. So my advice is to do neither. Don't invest strictly for cash flow and don't invest strictly for appreciation. So in the end, it's more important to find a good rental property, a property that you can rent for a little less than market, that you're not going to have big turnover, that you're not going to have a bunch of tenant repairs that are going to be necessary with move outs. And then let everything else take care of itself. Even if it's in a break-even type situation, if you can do that for a period of time. But I can tell you, the first 5 to 10 years is really difficult when you're building a real estate portfolio. It's just really difficult. And the reality is most people aren't willing to go through that pain. You're gonna have to take some money from some other places. You're probably not gonna make a lot of money. You're gonna have to probably invest some money into it. Something's gonna go wrong that you're gonna have to repair out of your pocket, those types of things. So this is the long-term game that we're looking for. I think that people that are looking strictly for that cash flow or strictly for that appreciation, you should be investing for the bigger picture, which is the duration you can keep good tenants, quality tenants in the property. And the longer that duration is, the more profitable and the less cost and the less headaches and management you will have on this property. So buying the right rental property that you can get someone to stay for a very long time is the key.